Kick it.
Sean Connery's back. Welcome,
Sean Connery,
to Hardheaded, the podcast. This is your host, Chet Sears, and along with me, we have Matt, Amos, and Troy, Three-Shot Trussell. We are so glad you're with us today. It's a wonderful day. It really does mean a lot to us that you spend time with us and listen.
Yes.
And we'd like to thank our sponsor, Admiral's Pennant, for making this possible. Even though their owner is a jerk. His name's Matt Amos, by the way.
No argument there.
Hey, we've got some fun things to talk about today. Troy's going to tell us what's on his mind. We're going to cover our top 3 words.
Yes.
Top 3 words, huh?
Matt is going to share a good word with all of us. So, Troy, I'm going to throw it on over to you.
I wonder if one of Matt's top 3 words is the good word. Or a good word for today.
That's more than one word.
I don't know that any of my words are going to be in a good word.
All right.
Well, anyway.
Maybe. Maybe.
Troy, what's on your mind, man?
So what's on my mind? So the other day, a few weeks ago, I left my house and I was going to do a job, and I got there and I couldn't do the job. So it was a drone job. Because I fly drones, do some real estate work, and ended up couldn't do the job because there was some work going on across the street, and they couldn't move. They're going to be there all day doing landscaping and all this stuff. So talked to the homeowner, said it's fine, come back tomorrow. So I was a little bummed about it because it was 30 minutes out of the way.
Yeah.
And that's just stuff like that happens. And so on my way back across town to go do some work, I was going over, on 96.
North Junction?
Yeah, going west where they're doing all that construction. Yeah. And so I was listening to a podcast, and I was just kind of in podcast land, and I had my cruise set at the speed limit, and then I just noticed cones, right? Orange cones. Mm-hmm. So I hit the brakes, and right when I did that and saw the cones, I was slowing down, saw a white car in the cones, and I was like, oh, great. I'm sure he saw me, maybe not, maybe, but then he pulled in right behind me. And I was like, well, so I'm like going 40 at this point.
Yeah.
Like, well, is he going to turn on his lights or,
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's get it over with.
Checking my license plate, whatever. So yeah, he finally turned on the lights, and I pulled over, and I'm bummed out, right? Okay. Yeah. But because I know, I wasn't speeding on purpose.
Right. I'm in podcast land, man.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. You give me an excuse. I'm driving here in meat space where real people exist.
Exactly.
But my mind's over in audio world.
Right.
Which is the exact reason we have those laws, and the reason he pulled you over, because you're a danger to others.
Did he pull you over because your window tint was too dark?
No. Okay. And he didn't mention that, which I was thankful.
Yeah.
Because it is pretty dark. But so when he was walking to the window, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to tell him everything that just conspired, because I'm just going to tell the truth. Mm-hmm. So he came to the window and asked me a few questions. I told him everything. I was like, man, I didn't even slam my brakes because I saw you. I saw you in the aftermath. I saw the cones, and I was just like, I can't believe it. And he said, well, I believe you because your speed was constant.
Yeah.
On my radar. It wasn't fluctuating at all. So I believe you that you were on cruise control and you were going the speed limit. You just
didn't realize you were in construction.
You were just going 15 over in this construction site. So
yeah,
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's fair.
Yeah.
And so he walked back to his car, bloop, 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 did his thing. And I'm just sitting there like, you know what?
I'm out of here.
I was like, you know what? I feel good about this because, I could have, been mad.
Yeah.
Gotten upset. Yeah, I could have been a jerk. I could have just, tried to plead with him. I was like, no, I'm just going to tell the truth. And we're just going to see what happens. Mm-hmm. And so I did. And he came back and he was like, look, sir, I really need you to just slow down and pay attention to what you're doing. Kind of like what Matt was just saying.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to let you off with a warning this time. And I was like,
no, really, dude? Because I'm like, cool. If you want to write me a ticket, I'm there. I'm mentally, it's okay.
Well, I didn't say that.
Yeah.
But I was like, I really appreciate it. Was just very thankful. Yeah. And yes, sir. I mean, I'm sure he's like 28, 29. I'm like, yes, sir. Right. I will slow down. You know, it's just ingrained in me to say yes, sir. But yeah, so I was really pleased with that. And so I drove off. Just got back in the podcast land, but stayed focused on speed limit and traffic laws. Yeah.
Thank you.
So then I pull up to my next meeting that was across town, and a friend of mine pulled up, and he was standing there, and we go into this meeting together. And he was, I noticed that he didn't come into the meeting the last week. And so we were talking about some personal issues, and I won't bring that up. But it just, I felt like I needed to pray with him. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what came over me with that, whether it was me just thinking that of the Holy Spirit or whatever it was. I just felt like I needed to pray. So I asked him, I was like, man, can I pray for you? And so we put my hand on his shoulder, and he put his hand on my shoulder, and I ended up praying for him. And then before we ended when I ended my prayer, he just went right into praying for me, which was really cool. And after that, we both walked into the meeting together. Mm-hmm. It was like no problem for him. So then the meeting went well and everything, and I left. I was going to my next stop, and I was just, I think what I forgot to say, when the police officer pulled me over, I was like, my day hadn't been going right, and it's got even worse. Could get even worse, depending on what he tells me.
Right.
$200 ticket or whatever.
Yeah, 15 over, you going to the slammer.
Right.
Yeah. Right. The fines double in traffic zones. Yeah.
But I just made up my mind in that moment, like, I'm not going to let this ruin my day.
Right.
Like, I'm going to have a good, productive day no matter what happens.
Yeah. Even if I can't shoot the first drone and I get a ticket on my way to the second thing. Yeah.
Right. And so when I got to that meeting, saw my buddy, we ended up praying together. That was a great thing. Then I went to my next stop, which was, we're flipping a rental, and it was cleaning up some trash and talking to a few neighbors around there that had a problem with it. And so I was putting out those fires, and was talking to one neighbor who carried some of the trash off for us last time. And I was just asking him, can you do that again? We're happy to pay you again. And he's like, oh yeah, we'll do it. We're getting our trash trailer today. And well, then he goes into how hasn't been doing well. His heart's not doing well. And he had some family members around, and not to get too deep into that. I just felt led again to pray for this guy, like out loud, audibly. And this is, if you know me, this is not normal for me.
Yeah.
I'm pretty introverted, and especially when it comes to prayer, like I don't even like praying in small group. I don't like it when the pastor's like, Troy, will you close us in prayer? I'm like, no.
I can't wait for our next family dinner.
Right. Well, family, I can do it on family.
Okay.
I feel your pain though, because my dad's a pastor, and so I'm always like, Dad, you want to say grace for us?
Oh, it's like a default card for pastors to have to pray, which I feel bad for the pastors.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they're like, can anybody else step up to the plate, please? Like,
I had a friend of mine in college that, like anytime, like we get done with chapel or whatever, and we're heading to eat a big meal, and there's normally like 5, 10, 15 people. Like, Lance, you mind praying? Oh yeah, I'll pray. So he'll bow his head, and he goes off on this long prayer, and you think he's about to wrap this up, and then he'll be like, and my friend, and then he'll look up, my friend Matt. Oh, Matt's got this problem with this class. I just pray, and he just pray for Matt for like 30, 45 seconds, and then he'll look up and see who's next, and he'll just start going around the table. And then you're like, okay, look, it's over. Amen, Lance. Like you cut him off in the middle of his prayer. Because he's like, yeah, I'll teach you to call on me to pray.
Never calling on me again.
We're about to sit here for the next 15 minutes is what's going to happen.
Anyway, I don't think that's the right way to approach prayer.
Well, let me give you his number. You can call him.
No.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So you're praying, it's out of your norm. You're praying for this guy.
Yeah. So I prayed for this guy, and that one kind of got emotional because it was a kind of a life or death situation that he's dealing with. And so that was good though. And so I ended up talking to the neighbor that had a problem with the trash, and we used to live right down the street from these people. So we know them pretty well. I wasn't just praying with anybody off the street, which I think I'd have been open to that day.
Yeah, it's like, bring them on.
Yeah. Bring them on. But
You get a prayer. You get a prayer. Everybody
gets a prayer.
Like, you can go find that cop. Hey, I haven't prayed with you
Yeah,
yet.
I haven't prayed. Yeah, but no, I just think, I think what brought it all to mind and just having a good outlook on the day in general, because later that day I didn't pray with anybody else except for, kids at night and family, dinner table, that just kind of your regular average day prayers that we do. But things the rest of the day, just I took notice of what God was doing in my life on that day.
Regardless of everything else that was going on.
Exactly. And like, I can't put a finger on, like, I never decided to do it. I just recognized that it was there. And so I've just had a kind of awareness of it. And the only thing I can link it back to is just being in tune with what's around you and kind of living in the present moment.
Yeah.
And so me being a believer, being in the present moment, for me is kind of seeing God's work in action. Because you can always go, all right, this happened this day, this happened that day, and look back and see what God has done. But it's really hard, and even since that day happened, it's really hard to look at today and see, okay, what's God doing right now?
Yeah.
And even since that day, it's been kind of hard to pinpoint, okay, what's God doing right now through this or through that? But that day was just so cool because I just felt like, all right, God's doing this right now, so I'm going to step in and he's going to use me to do this.
Yeah.
So
that's cool, man. And that's, I don't know. I've had a few days like that where it's just like only the eternal things matter.
Right.
The short-term things that's going to pass they're fuzzy. It's they're not in my focus right now.
Yeah.
That's really cool. It's like sometimes when like a pitcher is like everything's working. My fastball works, my cutter works, my curve works.
Yeah.
Everything's tuned in today. And it doesn't happen for them every time they pitch either, I mean,
yeah.
Everything was in tune though.
Yeah. And so, I produce, recently just started producing another podcast. It's called The Next Level Method.
Is that the one you were listening to when you weren't paying attention when you were driving?
Probably. It was either that or Mars Hill, the Rise and Fall of Mars Hill, because that's a really good one too. But Next Level Method podcast, it's two guys local here in Wichita, but they bring people on their show that have been successful in writing books and been on TED Talks and those type of things, but they've all been through something that has really changed their life for the better.
Yeah.
Whether it be losing family members at an early age or just been in depression for 10 years and got out of it.
Yeah.
Just all these different things. And
how frequently do they release an episode?
So they just released on August 16th. I think they released 6 or 8 episodes.
So they just started, like it just launched.
Just
cool.
launched
I'll have to check them out.
A month ago, and then they release one every week. They're on YouTube and anywhere you find podcasts. But there's some local Wichita people, but there's also some other people from around the nation
that they interview.
How
do you get on a TED Talk?
I have no idea. I think you write a book and you get famous, then you get a TED Talk.
Now, there's people that I've seen on TED Talks I'd never heard about before.
I don't know. I don't watch many of them. I've seen a few of them, but I don't watch a lot of them.
I've actually got a buddy of mine that was on a TED Talk. He's a triple amputee, and I don't know if he talks about this because it's been so long since I've seen his TED Talk, but I think he was TEDx.
Yeah, what's the TEDx? Is that like JV?
I actually heard the difference on that through your recommendation on the way I heard it.
Yeah.
So I started listening to that since you recommended
Micro?
it. Yeah, Micro.
Fantastic, isn't it?
It's really good.
Yeah,
it is really good.
Only because he got caught up with Unashamed.
Yeah.
What?
You got caught up on listening to all your backlog.
No, I'm still not caught up.
Oh, I thought you said you were caught up on Unashamed.
He was, but then went on a big trip.
I went to Alaska for 2 weeks, and then I got like 9 episodes behind. Or no.
Probably
9 or 10
Yeah.
behind. And so when I came back, I downloaded what I downloaded for Unashamed, went on the trip, got caught up when I came back.
They had
I was
reproduced a
so,
bunch more.
Yeah, I was so far behind. And then I went back and so I started doing that, whatever, and you said they're like 5 to 10 minutes, but
Yeah.
they're really not.
They're like an
So
hour and a
I
half.
told you that what he writes is 5 or 10 minutes.
But you have to stick around.
You want to.
Right.
You want
he's
to.
because he's so well spoken.
Yeah.
And the one I listened to was with his mom. But
And if you're not following her on Facebook, you are missing out. Mike Rowe's mom. She has a good book too, by the way.
yeah, that's what she kind of talked about, but he was reading like the last chapter in his book.
Yeah.
But anyway, all that to say that a couple of episodes before that, maybe, they were talking about like TEDx, and I guess TEDx was like before they really established like
The rules
the
for
TED Talks, and because Mike Rowe was talking about when he was on TED Talk and talking about how that talk came about, because I think it was titled "Show Me the Testicles," and it
about
was
the sheep deal.
Yeah, it was about
Yeah.
the dirty job where he, the guy was showing him how to castrate
castrate.
sheep.
Right.
And he goes, PETA and all the animal rights groups tell you, to do the rubber band thing around it, whatever. And then it just kind of cuts the blood flow, and shrivels up and falls off. Well, he goes, the guy here just literally bit him. Like, I don't know exactly how, because I haven't seen that episode, I don't think, but bites them off. And it's just he goes, it's quicker, it's more humane than agonizing for weeks waiting for that to fall off. But that was his TED Talk. But that's what he's talking about, was the difference between TEDx, TED, and he goes into that on his
I'm going to
his
have to check
podcast.
that out.
Wow.
But anyway, my buddy did a TED Talk from testicles back to my buddy.
Right.
And, but he's a triple amputee, and I think he's just talking about overcoming adversity. But this dude, being a triple amputee, is a phenomenal drummer.
Yeah.
Like, incredible.
Really?
Drummer. Yeah. So he's got like a prosthetic arm with a drumstick, and then he's got his hand, and he's got 2 prosthetic legs that he can work the pedals with, and just does a phenomenal job.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's think at drums.
Yeah.
I've never really tried. I've never been around a set of drums to try.
I can
like
keep
that.
a beat, but when you got to like switch, like go over here and boom, and then get back on the same beat, no,
Nope.
not happening for
It's
me.
gone.
Yeah.
The beat left.
Yeah.
Hey, when you get pulled over, are you nice to the police officers?
Always.
Yeah. Do you ever get pulled over?
I do. Yeah. Not very often. I've noticed since I've got the Purple Heart plates, it's a
Do they
lot.
light you up and then they're like, oh, never mind?
No. They don't even pull me over anymore.
Yeah.
I was going to, I can't remember where I was going, but I was on like the road to my house, which there's nothing for miles. There's one stop sign. And I don't know. I, got into Music Zone or Podcast Land and pulling a trailer, and I honestly don't even know how fast I was going. All I know is when I looked, I was like, oh, yep, that's a cop. And then I see the flashers come on, like his rear flashing lights as he's in my rearview mirror to and then they turned off, and I mean, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
And he just kept going, just gave me
Slow down.
gave me the courtesy flash.
Yeah.
Slow down.
And so I slowed down. Come to find out, I think it was my neighbor's son, who is a police officer that was driving by.
Yeah.
And so I think he recognized my truck and was like, yeah, okay.
Well, that's good to know, because it makes you wonder sometimes, like, what's that cop doing out here all alone? Huh?
Well,
No, you never thought that?
I don't know.
No. Well, I mean, we did have a kidnapping out my way not too long ago.
Yeah.
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 Oh man.
But so
Well, they didn't kidnap anybody out there. Somebody get kidnapped in town. Drove
Wichita
out there.
took him out there.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And then there was a manhunt and all this kind of stuff. But
And Matt was like, I wish I was there with Badger.
I was like, we'll find him
Yeah.
quick. Like, I know that area like the back of my hand. But they got him pretty quickly. The only other time that I can remember being pulled over is when I first came back from California. And I'm back home. I'm in my Jeep. not paying attention to anything, just jamming. It's
no Purple Heart tags yet?
Yeah, I had the Purple Heart tags.
Okay.
And I'm jamming out, but like I'm home. The weather, the temperature's perfect. I've got the windows down on the Jeep. I'm just cruising. I'm paying more attention because I've been in California and nobody in California waves, right? And so I'm so excited to be back home, and everybody you drive by, they're waving, and you're waving, I'm just paying attention. Man, this is so awesome. Paid no attention to my speed whatsoever. And I had 35-inch tires, never readjusted my speedometer. So who knows how far I was actually off. And strangely enough, I got pulled over in the same place that I got pulled over when I was like 16.
Should have learned your lesson.
And that one I did deserve. That's my only ticket, was when I was 16.
Mm-hmm.
And we were leaving a theater production, and because I did drama, whatever, back then, and we just finished
What?
Yeah.
You're a thespian?
I was back in the day.
Wow.
I did everything back in the day, man.
Thespian. Z. That's a different.
I still am.
Thespian. Sorry, not thespian. I actually didn't know there was a difference in the S and the Z there. Sorry. Thanks.
Is there?
Chet.
I thought it was just your way of pronouncing thespian.
Maybe it is.
So
Chet's losing it this time.
he's still got his hair though.
Yes, he does.
Again. But anyway, so, I was leaving that, and my buddy was like, we're going to go to Pizza Hut because it was our last production, and we're going to go out and just have a cast party at Pizza Hut. And so we leave the school.
I remember those cast parties.
Yeah. It's fun, just a good time.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I bet I can beat you there. And I was like, there's no way you're going to beat me there. And he goes, oh yeah. So I got in my car. It was me, Audrey, who's now my wife, but we weren't even dating or anything at the time. Mm-hmm. And then my best friend from high school, her name was Julie. So they were all in the car, and we take off. And I'm going, and there's no stopping me. And I was like, he's going the speed limit. And I'm like, there's no way he's going to win going the speed limit. And I was gone. And about 4 miles later, I see these lights, and they're way back there. And so I turn off on this street. And at the time it was a dirt road, and now I believe it's paved. Mm-hmm. And I turned off, and I was like, I think I've got enough time. So I turned right, and then turned right into a cornfield, into the little inlet. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to park here.
Lights out.
Maybe he's going to go by. No.
He
found me.
Not the first time somebody's tried that move before.
Right.
So he catches up to me, and he pulls me out of the car, and he goes, do you know how fast you're going? And I was like, 60, 65-ish. And he goes, no. No. And I was like, oh, yeah. He goes, really, how fast are you going? 60, 65. And he goes, no. He goes, you were doing that before you crossed the railroad tracks. So there's like, where I turned, there may be a quarter of a mile, and I'm gone. And what is it? The statute of limitations, I think, is up on that. I was in the 100-mile-an-hour range somewhere. And he goes, now I know that you were doing more than that, because I was doing 90 and couldn't keep up and couldn't catch you. And he goes, so tell me, how fast are you going? 60, 65?
Yeah. Did you not have your radar gun out, officer?
And so he goes, I know you're lying, but he goes, I got you clocked at 65. So that's all I can charge you with. So 65 and a 45. And so I'm going 20 over. And he goes, technically I can take you to jail for reckless endangerment, blah, 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 blah. You got 2 people in the car with you. And he goes, did you pass your buddy? And I was like, because I told him what we were doing.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I blew his doors off way back there, man. And,
Weren't you watching?
surely you saw.
Yeah. He's going to beat me there now, though. Thanks, officer.
I mean, oh yeah, I said I definitely lost this. And so he's like, I could take you to jail, whatever. And anyway, gave me a ticket, which was insane at that time. And the fortunate thing that he did for me was the number one thing was he told me, because it was the local cop, his name was Biff.
No way.
Yeah.
Biff.
And
Make like a tree and get out of here.
and get out. And so he's like, I know your parents. And I was like, no. You just give me that ticket. I'll take that ticket.
Yeah.
We'll be just fine.
Take me to the slammer, please.
Yeah.
And so he took care of all that. I got the ticket. I went and paid the ticket, but they didn't report it for insurance, which was
Oh, that's
awesome
nice.
of them to do for me.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's the same road that I got pulled over on as I'm
Waving at everybody.
waving at
happy.
everybody, jamming to, I
Yeah.
think it was probably Five Finger Death Punch or something like that, just rocking out. Or maybe Slipknot. I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah.
But pulled me over. He comes up, and then now I've got hand controls and no legs and stuff like that, And
Yeah.
he walks up. He goes, how fast are we going? I was like, 60, 65. And I was like, it can't be that much over, because I was like, I just got kind of caught up. I just got back home.
Yeah.
And this is literally my first foray back into Andale before, because I haven't been back. I said, I'm just excited to be home. And he goes, that happened in the service. I was like, yep. He goes, all right. And he goes, I'll be right back. So he went, ran everything, came back and goes, welcome home. I'm going to give you a warning, but I'm only giving you one. And I was like, you got it. So I slowed down. And I don't think, honestly, that like on that road that I've gone over the speed limit. Now, the road to my house, completely different story. If you're doing 80, you're getting past. But no, that was.
There's a Seinfeld episode about that.
Of course there is.
Yeah.
Was it the same cop?
No, different cop.
Oh, okay.
He
Old Biff retired, I think.
he was dating this girl that was like drop dead gorgeous and got out of everything. Like anything that went wrong, he's like, "Hey, honey," and she's like, "Oh, can you help us with it?" "Oh yeah, sure, we'll do whatever." And he got pulled over. The guy's like, "Can you step out?" And he's like, "Sure." Like, "How fast are you going?" "Oh, well over 100. "Well, we're gonna have to write you." He's like, "Honey, can you step out of the car for a moment, please?" And she steps out, and they're like, "Oh, never mind. Have a good day." That's like you and your magic legs.
Everybody uses that excuse, because I rarely anymore. That was the last time I've been pulled over.
Yeah.
And
I mean, for a driving infraction, I've seen a game warden pull you aside.
he didn't pull me over, but yeah, that was.
They asked the same question too. That happened overseas? Yes, sir.
We've heard that story.
Yeah.
But I'm always respectful, and like you said, your go-to was yes sir, no sir,
Oh,
whatever,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that just comes from he's got the authority
Well, yeah.
in that situation, so you show respect to the authority. And so,
Yep.
like yes sir, no sir, and I'm not
Respect the authority.
Respect my authority.
I'm not fidgeting, and fortunately I don't have to be nervous when I get pulled over. But there's everybody that I ride with that gets pulled over uses me
Yeah.
as the cop out. Like the cop will look in, make sure that that's not like a rocket launcher on my leg or something like that, and
Can you put your weed in there?
Do you know how fast you're going? Matt, my wounded veteran friend, do you recall how fast I was going?
yeah. Oh,
Were you docking our miles per hour?
Just driving him to a TEDx speech.
There's so many. And I can think of most of them that happen with one person.
Oh, yeah.
And that person's name is Steve Peoples. And he uses me as the cop out every single time. Every time.
Oh, good.
Oh, man.
But he has not received an actual ticket while I've been in the car.
With him?
Yep.
Yeah.
He only gets those when I'm not in the car. Now, well, we were driving back. I take that back. We were driving back and we had the WWO trailer. And so it's got Peoples on one side, Adventures Enabled on the other. And then it's got a bunch of people missing limbs on the back and whatever. And we got pulled over out by Pratt. And I mean, we'd been driving forever. And this guy passes us, this truck, and just, whoa, and we're like, oh man, that guy's getting pulled over. And here comes the cop, trying to get him. And then all of a sudden we see the cop's brake lights, just comes back and like swoops in right behind us. I'm like,
what in the world? Yeah.
I was like, how fast are you going? He goes, speed limit.
Yeah.
And the trailer lights were out. So, and it was at night. And so when he got up, he couldn't see the trailer. And he's like, I was going to go get them, but then I saw that you had absolutely no lights on your trailer. And I almost clipped the back end of the trailer as I was coming because he was zooming to try to get that guy.
Oh, yeah.
And so we pulled over and he wrote him up because number one, the tags were expired. They weren't even in his name. And then the no lights. And so once he got all that figured out, he ended up not having to pay a fine or anything like that, except just updating the tags. But that's the only time that I've been in the car when he's got a ticket.
Your powers didn't work that day.
Well, they worked somewhat, and he's trying to play it.
All right, we're going to move on to our third segment of the day of the show, which is a good word, and that is coming from our friend Matt. What's a good word for us today?
Are we really going to go to a good word, or do we want to do maybe some top threes?
Are we still on the what's on your mind?
See, Troy started with a good word.
I was just trying to keep this thing from being 2 hours long.
Wow. Yeah.
I don't think we're going to go to a top three. I think we're going to go to a break.
Let's do
that.
Regroup.
Is it tomorrow yet?
At Admiral's Pennant, our mission is to offer the latest and refined, high-quality masculine products and services to the modern gentleman, as well as provide him with the tools and products necessary to look, act, and feel confident in his appearance and social interactions. Check it out at admiralspennant.com. Without it, you might as well shave.
You're like a pro. And we're back.
That was a good one.
Thanks for joining us this week.
Chet.
I'm back. Top three words. Matt, why don't you give us your top three words?
All right. My top three words. They almost all start with V. Weird.
It's
Well, you are the son of a Baptist preacher.
Why does that?
like all the preachers have
Alliterations.
I've got 3 points today. They all start with the letter C, or they all start with the letter P.
That would be called an alliteration.
Alliteration.
Either that or you're a real big Adam Sandler fan.
So my number three.
All his girls that he dates in all of his movies their names start with V.
I have to think about that one.
Go for it, man. Come on.
Alliteration. That might be my favorite word. Number three.
He just changed it.
No. Number three, eviscerate. So it actually starts with an E, but it's got the sharp V sound in there, right? I don't know why. I've just always liked the word eviscerate.
Yeah.
Can Matt read?
I've never heard you use it.
No, I may not have, but I like the word.
Okay.
It rolls off the tongue, eviscerate.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
I'm a big fan of it. That's a good word.
I mean, disembowel doesn't sound as good as eviscerate.
And they mean the same thing.
Yes.
Okay. Because I didn't know what eviscerate meant.
Or to tear apart, but typically eviscerate would be to cut the belly open.
Okay.
Troy eviscerated the roast chicken from Walmart. He tore it apart.
The sushi eviscerated his butthole.
Oh, man. Next.
AKA the Zeus is loose.
Right.
Oh, number two, visceral.
Okay.
Had a visceral reaction. I don't know why. Again, it just rolls off the tongue. I don't know why the V words just roll like that. And then number 1, vernacular.
That was not the V word I thought you were going to
I like using vernacular.
I do too. Vernacular helps us communicate in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
I've got a certain vernacular that I'm speaking with right now.
you do.
What is the direct definition of vernacular? I don't know if I could use that in a sentence.
It's basically just speech.
Yeah.
So, and it brings me back, and I think maybe the way that I found this word was a Three Stooges video, and they're in court, and the judge is saying, drop the vernacular, and Curly drops his hat because he doesn't know what vernacular means, so he drops the hat because that's what he has in his hand.
Yeah.
What he has in his hand, and so drop the vernacular. Pick up your hat, and so, anyway, so I had to go look that word up, and it's the way he was talking.
Yeah.
So drop the vernacular. And so ever since I've kind of used that word and nobody really knows what it means. So you can talk and sound really intelligent or speak and speak and sound intelligent when you're speaking when somebody doesn't know the word that you're using. It's just one of those words that you can drop like I just did.
Yeah.
And Troy didn't know.
Vernacular.
So just another speech, another form of saying the word speech or to talk.
Yes.
Very good.
All right, I'm going to fire away now.
Do it.
Number 3, striation.
Levels.
I love it. We had an issue at one of my previous jobs where we were looking at, there was some metal was breaking due to fatigue. And we got to say striation so many times. I said striation in like 15 times in one presentation because we were looking at microscopic pictures of the breaks, the fractures, and we could say, well, due to these striations, you can tell that such as just striations were being thrown around everywhere, and it was a whole lot of fun. It's like, yeah, I feel really good about the work I'm doing when you get to use complicated words like striation.
We use that a lot in geology.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, number 2, sphygmomanometer.
That's a sniglet. That's not a real word, is it?
Oh, it's a real word.
It's a real word.
It's a piece of equipment.
Yes, that we've all used.
Yes.
Some kind of a thermometer. It measures something.
A cuff.
Kind of like
blood pressure.
Yes, that's the actual name of the blood pressure taking device. Is sphygmomanometer.
Did you learn that in your days of delivering
home medical equipment? And I'm like, this is gonna stick with me forever.
Hey babe, pass me the sphygmomanometer. Check my blood pressure.
Yes,
we have one of those at home.
Yeah, you didn't. You had it. And you don't even know what it's called.
I have to occasionally check it, and I tell Hannah, throw me the cuff.
Yeah, no, I dare you.
Say it again.
Hannah, pass me the sphygmomanometer.
Can't say that.
Sphygmomanometer.
Sphygmomanometer.
All right, I need to put this on the screen so people can see it.
No, they don't need to see all the other secrets.
No, I
got on there.
I'm gonna write the word in text on the screen.
I'll email it to you.
Okay, sphygmomanometer.
Sphygmomanometer.
Mom.
Oh
man, my words are not this good.
All right.
Actually, now listen. The almost made my number 1.
No.
Because I didn't realize how much I appreciated the word the until it wasn't used. Example.
Please, because I'm not with you.
Alone. The season 7, when they had the 100-day challenge.
Yeah.
And the old boy that won the entire season I don't think that he knew the word the, because he built this house out of rock, and he goes, I'm going back to Rock House. And then he had this place where he almost fell in the water, and he calls that Danger Rock. And then he's got his little meat shelter, and he calls it Meat Shelter, not I'm going to go put the meat in the meat shelter. He goes, I'm going to go put this in Meat Shelter, and I'm going to go I'm going to go back to Rock House and then put this in meat shelter.
Maybe he was a thawed caveman, you know.
He could have
won.
been. He won.
He won. He could have been.
But he just did not use the word the, and it annoyed me. I was like, why doesn't he just say, I'm going back to
It'll
the
never
house?
it'll
I go to
never
meat
make my
house.
list because you can't have the same word pronounced different ways and be on one of my top lists because it's the like
Veteran,
Both-
veteran.
both are
veteran.
acceptable and I'm okay if you use both, but you can't make the top list.
I'm just saying, if try going without saying the.
I will.
Okay, for the rest of the episode, go.
Next,
This is going to be interesting.
which is number 1, conquistador.
Oh, God.
All-time favorite word. Been my favorite word for a very long time. You guys have any favorite conquistadors?
Don Quixote.
I don't think he was.
Yeah, it was.
Was
He's
he?
a conquistador.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have any because they were all bad and pillaged the lands. But, you know, Balboa, Da Gama, Magellan, Cortez. Anyway,
Cortez was a famous one.
Cortez. That rings a bell.
this is like a good restaurant.
No, I just remember it
Oh.
from Spanish class. Maybe that's where I heard it.
Anyway, conquistador. It's fun to use. It's just a great word. Fantastic word. Doesn't get any better than that.
I like it.
Okay. Troy, please move on. Next.
Very good. So, top 3 that I listed, I didn't really know that it was just
You have lame words? Is that what you're trying to tell
no.
us?
They are wonderful words,
Okay.
and I picked them because they're definitions, and
Okay.
I'm going to go over those. But then I have some honorable mentions that just popped in my head.
Okay.
From hearing
Yes.
y'all's top 3s.
Okay.
So my first top 3.
Then my honorable mention.
Then my
top 3.
honorable mention top 2.
Okay.
Because the third one hadn't popped in my head yet, but it might.
Because
So-
the what?
So we'll see.
Did I say that?
You just can't help yourself.
Did I say? Have I said THE?
You did.
I didn't know you were part of it.
Oh, well, I was trying.
I thought I was just doing it. Are we all doing it?
No, I can't. I don't think I can. Hold on.
Go ahead.
All right.
I can't.
Number 3, fear. And last week I spoke a lot about this, so I think we're good. Go back and listen to last week's if you didn't hear my stint on fear.
Okay.
Respect. It's number 2.
It's fun to spell too.
RESPECT. Yeah. It's just these are the top 2, respect, and number 1 is love.
Yeah.
Those 2 things are talked about more in my house right now, trying to raise young children to make them responsible, respectful, loving human beings. So those things, when y'all said top 3 words, those were top 3 that just boom popped in my head.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm teaching, what I'm trying to live out
Using them
as an example.
frequently.
Yeah, using them every day, more than once, especially yesterday, home alone. When I say home alone, I mean without my wife, with 4 young boys,
Yeah.
just trying
Peace,
to
patience.
trying to hold the fort down. Yeah. Yeah, peace and patience, all those, but love is number 1. So then the fun, I just said dang it. So then fun top 3. Number 3, statistics. Just because it's really hard to say sometimes. See? Statistics.
We saw how much you struggled with sphygmomanometer.
Right?
That one is a tongue twister, though.
Yeah.
Sphygmomanometer. No,
Nometer.
that's more like it's not like denominator.
Sphygmomanometer.
All right. Well, number 2,
That's it.
mojitos.
Okay.
Mojitas.
Mojitos.
Yeah.
It's a good drink too. Mojitos. And number 1, Hadn't come to me yet, so maybe.
Well, this is a first for you to have two lists.
So I think that is first time. It's so hard not to say that word.
What's funny about that though is I can tell where your head's at when you came up with your list, and I think it's a good place to be in, where you're thinking of those as your top words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a good place to be.
Well,
So there's
thank
nothing
you.
wrong with that.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Are we able to move on to the good word from Matt?
Let's
what?
do it.
Move on to what?
A good word.
No, you said that.
No, I
we're gonna
did.
move
I
on to the
did
good
say
word.
the good word.
It's tough.
Yes.
It's an important word. Yeah, we're ready to move on. You ready?
Fire away. I could just start speaking in French and use la and la.
It's still the. I'm going to move La Rock House or L Rock House. It doesn't work.
Going down to La Meat Market.
Anyway, moving on. The good word for today comes from Proverbs 18:19, and I looked at our top 3, which was words. So our good word for today has to do with words. And Proverbs 18:19 says, "A brother who has been insulted is harder to win back than a walled city, and arguments separate people like the barred gates of a palace." And I think where we are in society right now is everybody is just free will insulting everybody else. And you see it from the left, you see it from the right, where the left is insulting the right is insulting the left. How are you going to win those people back? It's biblical. It says it right here. It's in Proverbs. It says it's harder to win those back than it is a walled city. So it kind of goes along with, my entire goal for 2021, which has been to be more kind and giving more grace to others instead of trying to get in an argument and try to understand things from somebody else's point of view. Not to insult people for their points of view, but try to figure out why they have those points of view and get to the base of why they hold those opinions. And I've noticed that far more people react positively to that after the initial, they think I'm trying to start a fight with them by asking questions.
No, their guard's up because that's the typical.
They've been insulted the whole time, and so that's what they're used to.
Right.
So here I am trying to win these people back and be like, hey, let's have a discussion. And so, words, whether they're on our top 3 list, I think yours are important words. Ours really aren't. They're fun words.
Your blood pressure's up. Mine's pretty important.
It could be.
You have stress fractures in a copper pipe, striations.
Well, and Conor McGregor had striations in his leg when he broke it.
Yeah, that's true.
Or striations before he landed that kick that shattered his ankle. But, I think we really need to be careful with our words, and I think more people need to pay attention to that, including myself. I've paid more attention to that this year than I have before, because I used to be the guy. It really didn't bother me too much. But then I realized I'm not really setting that good of an example, because that was just kind of the part of the Marine lifestyle. Hey, dummy, but out in the real world, it doesn't really work like that. And you can
It's not productive.
It's not productive. You can turn a lot of people off doing that. So I would say the Bible says it a lot of times, guard your words. There's more verses for that. But I actually didn't write those down.
The tongue has the power of life and death.
Yep.
Yeah.
Big time.
So that's my good word. Watch your words.
Tied into our top 3.
Good job, Matt.
I do what I can, man.
Look at you.
Thanks for sharing.
All right.
Let's take us on out of here.
One last thing to do.
That's it.
All right. Thank you for joining Hardheaded Podcast. It's been a pleasure having you here. Please like, subscribe, share, join the conversation. We love hearing your comments. So what are your favorite words? Complicated words. And let's all try to help Troy be able to pronounce sphygmomanometer.
Sphygmomanometer. No.
Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you next week.
Later. Hardheaded.
Podcast.com.
so glad those people commented for you to wear a larger shirt. It was less distracting for me this week.
Those people are you.
Oh, yeah. I may have been the only one that commented.